Hello everyone. It's James again. And today I want to talk about something that is said nearly every time. When someone including myself makes a video detailing how society is targeting men with very specific abuses to rip away any fabric of the human family. And that thing that is said is, well, it goes both ways. Basically stating that women are abused too. And a deeper look into what was actually said in the video doesn't appear to have happened. And this deeper look would reveal many things that could very quickly resolve a variety of issues with men-women relationships. Now first off, in the video that I make and the ones I try to recommend, oftentimes I and the other people pretty much bend over backwards in such videos to let good women know that they are abused too. However, there is a different element to this abuse that men suffer. And that's that it's promoted by our society. It's sanctioned and condoned. And no one wants to address it for fear it will be taken seriously and then solutions must be given. Here's the fact. The same men that are abused hate to see women that are abused. And these same men are the men that would run to a woman's aid in a heartbeat. But when a man talks about what's really happening in our society, sadly many women will turn it into a competition of who's really abused, when no one is disputing the abuse they've gone through. Now here's the deep message they miss when this is done. They miss the fact that by our television, media and basically everything in our society that attacks masculinity and good men, it creates a hole. A very deep empty hole for good women to find a good man. And because good women will go about a relationship like a good man, not judging the person based on their income, giving benefits of the doubt, so forth and so on. This hole leaves good women that play it straight to become victims for narcissist men. Here's the facts, people. Both narcissist women and narcissist men love this corrupt, screwed up system we are living under. Because as long as things are unfair in divorce and family court, narcissist women, or women that push the narcissist's narrative, and I think it's very important you understand this point. Because not every woman that does such evil things is a full-on narcissist. Many are. But some aren't. Some are just following the evil the media has crammed down their throats since they were children. And even if they get a feeling inside that what they are doing is wrong, they don't want to be the odd one in the crowd living in a different manner, so they do what all of their so-called friends are doing. And most of what these people are doing is wrong. And what this does is ties up good men that are dealing with such vampires. Because they lose their money and their homes. And they are tied up in legal trouble after legal trouble with these women. And when they do get free, if they've learned their lessons, they aren't so willing to want to have the same type of relationships they've had in the past. And now here's the important part for you good ladies. Because of these good men pulling back, and because they are tied up with being sued and losing all of their money, guess who's available for you to fill this hole? The narcissist man. The man that comes along that pretends he's one of us. And he plays the part so well. You fall for it. And then guess what, you get tied up legally with them. And the entire thing is a mess. And guess what? Guess what? The women that champion this way our society is going think that you are a sucker. Have you ever heard this world is a dog-eat-dog world? Well, if you understand its meaning, that means even if you have to attack and destroy someone that's close to you, then do it. Do what you have to do to get ahead in life. And these women, with the help of powerful men, set the legal rules and society's moral rules to extract money from men. And leave the husk of the bodies on the side of the road. The system is set for lying to win. For evil to get victory. You just have to have the heart to do it. Or the lack thereof. And sadly many women out there do have the heart to go through with the lying and manipulation to use their children as leverage. Or lie on a man in court. And the few that are like rubies. You good women that play it straight. And with all the good men tied up or that have walked away, you end up with a narcissist. And the women that help write the rules have no sympathy for you. Because in their minds you should have found a man you could control and get what you can get out of him. They've set the stage for this to be your utopia. For you to treat men any way you want and get what you want out of them. And because you aren't using what they set up for you to use, they think you're stupid. Now why is this important? Because the solution is mixed into what I'm telling you. But sadly those that write the narratives know that many women, because they are legitimately hurting from a relationship with a narcissist man, they won't be able to see what's happening right in front of their faces. And that's the good men are being publicly destroyed. So they have no more options. So much so, when a man stands up and says what's going on, they can't for a moment slow down and see the bigger picture. Hang on a second. This isn't a peeing match for us to see who has been abused the worst. This is us looking at the destruction of our society and how men and women have relationships with each other. Remember I mentioned the hole that is created. If you tie up men legally and steal their children from them, and take away any way they can even support themselves, let alone pay the horrible alimony and child support amounts most men pay, how are these good men supposed to have any energy, time or money to pursue you? Furthermore, if they've survived that, isn't it possible they will finally understand the court system isn't going to help them if they end up there again? So they will do everything to not end up there again. And that means sadly avoiding you, the good woman. And this creates a big giant hole that narcissist men know exists and they exploit. So what's the answer? Take away the holes. And you do that by making relationships fair. And you do that by recognizing the injustices that are happening to men. Men already know that women are abused. And they sympathize and empathize with you. But sadly, when men talk about how men are destroyed in society, women make it seem like it's a two-way street when it's not. Yes, both men and women are abused. But women aren't destroyed in the media. Men are. There's a big difference. One of the best examples is go on any job site or office job. And women can pretty much say and do whatever they want. I get called babe, honey, and dear, or sweetheart at least 20 times a day, no joke. What do you think would happen to me if I called one woman at the office babe tomorrow? Seriously. I've co-workers brought to human resources over nothing, where these same women complaining have said and done way worse. This is the world men live in. And the way to fix it is to acknowledge it. Because once it's acknowledged, we will then have to come up with a way that marriages aren't driven by alimony and child support, or how much welfare one can get. Because by making things even, it will make a narcissist think twice before getting into a long-term relationship or marriage. Now there are some narcissists that think they are such the good brainwasher they might still chance it. But once narcissist women are being held to the same standards as men, and alimony and child support is no longer granted, and joint custody becomes default in most places, no matter the income difference between the man and woman, you are going to see a lot more free men that are good for you, good women to choose from. And those narcissist men that come your way are going to be that much easier for you to get away from. And again, there will be more good men from you to pick from. But this utter destruction of men and masculinity is very, very real. And to turn it into, well, I was abused too, type of thing, does a disservice to when men talk about what is really happening in society. And I think if women start, and some have, but if they start talking about the obvious things that are being done to destroy masculinity, you're going to find that hole is going to close, little by little. And good men are going to continue to work with you and help you out through the abuses you've suffered. But this elephant in the room needs to be addressed. You ever wondered why none of the mainstream media heavily pursues how men are abused in our society? Now and then they will do public tests, where a man is being beaten up on the street by a woman. And everyone thinks it's funny. But nothing is ever followed up on. Because if you had women on The View saying how this was a big problem, Then the next step would follow. We would be talking about self-defense for men. Did you know a fact that most men know? If a woman is beating him up, he can't under any circumstances defend himself. That's right. Even if he grabbed her hands and held them down and prevented her from striking him, that is still considered assault. And if spun correctly, false imprisonment, or preventing someone to leave, which is a form of kidnapping. And most men know this. And sadly, that's why most women that hit men do it. Because they know the law. Most of the time. Not all of the time. Not all of the time. But most of the time is on their side. But acknowledging this is a problem changes everything. We would start talking about self-defense for men. Joint custody as a default. Doing away with alimony and child support. And incentives to get welfare for children. And before you know it, poof, the narcissists will start to melt away. Both the women and men, like the witch from The Wizard of Oz. An interesting side note. When I was a child and after my mother put my father in an early grave and blew all of his money, we ended up on the system. And when we were living around others that were doing the same, out of the hundreds of people there was maybe 3 families that were legit and not trying to hustle the system. And eventually they pulled themselves up by their bootstraps and left and never came back. And guess what? The ones that stayed behind hustling the system were all women. Hundreds of them. Now, did a lot of these kids have dads that were in and out of jail? And total screw-ups? Yes. But as a child I knew these women knew the men they were with were simply no good. And quite frankly, they didn't care. They just wanted to get welfare for having children because they didn't want to work. Because sitting at home and smoking their funny cigarettes was too important to them. Now I want you to think about what I just said. Out of hundreds of families I witnessed only maybe 3 that weren't hustling the system and actually cared about their children. And the ones out there that are getting alimony and child support living in nicer surroundings are no better. They don't love their children one bit. Oh, my mother used to say, like many of our mothers would say, I love my children. That she would walk through the fires of hell for us. When in reality it was just words. Words to make her look good. And draw attention away from the evil she was doing to her family. But what do you think would have happened if welfare wasn't so easy to get? And child support was nearly impossible to get? And alimony was completely unheard of? That's right. None of these people would have bothered to have children. Children they never cared for, and children they were just using like a tool to gain the end results they were looking for. That being said, would a narcissist, both man and woman, still try their luck with us? Sure. But with laws changed and this information everywhere, getting away from a narcissist would be a lot easier. And finding someone that cares for you as much as you do for them would be a more of an obtainable reality. Today, I was watching some online scam videos, where both men and women were scammed by online dating. And I especially was paying attention to the women that were scammed. And you can tell they were just trying to play things straight. And on top of that, their prospects were low due to all of the societal things I mentioned. And this leaves a big hole for the male narcissists. I will tell you what. If the laws change, and the way society sees this type of abuse changes, online dating will die a quick death. Because right now online dating only thrives because of the holes created by which the narcissists can fill. Online dating will dry up. Divorce lawyers will make less. And courts will get less revenue from processing fees and such. The entire racket will go under. And they don't want that. So what I implore you to do: look deeper into things. Don't just make a snap judgment about things. Because if you look at what's going on below the surface, you will really see this is about population control. They don't want good people to breed with good people. And all the things they are doing is making it very hard to do so. Something to think about. Well, that's all I have for now. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. And as always, let's keep praying for wisdom. Let's keep praying for strength. And let's keep praying for courage. And as always, bye for now. And be good to yourself.